All right, everybody, time for another rooting guide post-mortem. Obviously, these videos have a lot of the wind taken out of the sails right now because the Seahawks are doing so poorly, it doesn't even really matter. Also, I did make a video yesterday kind of covering some of this stuff, but I want to attack the other angles as well because it's more than just, oh, we need these teams to lose so we can make the playoffs. There's other things at play here. So, let's take a look here and see what we can glean from the results and try to find some silver linings right now. That's all we can do. Colts beat the Titans in overtime, which the only effect that really has on the Seahawks is that it worsens our SOS because the Titans are a team we play this year, so they're going to have a worse record now. So that's not great. However, there is one little bit of a really, really low value, really, really unlikely to matter point with the Colts winning. Colts winning makes it less likely that Denver makes the playoffs. Denver not making the playoffs makes our hypothetical third round pick a little bit higher. So there is that going on as well. Again, that's a thing that it might not even matter, right? We might get the Saints third round pick at this rate, and then it doesn't matter at all. But if you're looking at it from the perspective of, well, we want the Broncos and Saints to both miss so that no matter what happens, that third round pick is relatively high in the third round, then the Colts winning does help a little bit in that area because it makes it that much harder for Denver to get in. But that's really all I got. The Chargers Patriots, I think this is also a relatively desirable result. Again, low stakes, AFC on AFC, but we don't play either team, so it's even lower stakes than that. So the only thing really is we want the Patriots to pick as high as possible. And with the way things are going, it actually does look like they're going to be picking right at the top and taking a blue chipper and keeping them out of the NFC. So I'm good with that. I'm happy about that. Lions Saints, this is one of the results that actually went our way. Again, I don't care about the Lions anymore. We're not catching them. And if we did, I would be so happy that I wouldn't even be thinking about things like this, right? Like catching the Lions at this point would require such a monumental turnaround in our season and probably a massive collapse in their season. So we can't even really think about that. The Saints losing took a potential NFC playoff contender down a peg in the Saints, and also may strengthen our third round pick that we get in that Saints Broncos trade. So that was one of the few really good results in this week. So the Lions took care of business, and that's something to be grateful for. Unfortunately, the Falcons are still alive because they beat the Jets, and the Jets were one or two plays away from maybe doing something about it. But, well, when Tim Boyle, which that's his name, it took me a while to figure it out. When Tim Boyle is your quarterback, Tim Boyle is your quarterback. So the Falcons, they currently lead their division, and right now it looks like they're actually going to win it. Now, at this point, do we really care that much? I don't. I don't even really know if we should be looking at things like this right now, right? Like this team is not deserving of the playoffs by their own merits. But strictly speaking, yeah, we would have preferred the NFC South to be in a big 5-7 three-way tie. So don't stress on it too much at this point because it's not worth it. But yeah, Falcons winning is not ideal. However, I am quite happy with the Cardinals beating the Steelers, moving them further down the draft board. So Cardinals taking themselves out of the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, maybe even out of the Drake May sweepstakes, Harrison Jr. sweepstakes. They are still going to have a high pick, but there was definitely a scenario that a lot of Seahawks fans were seeing where the Cardinals would get a top one pick from their own pick, and then Houston would give them another like top eight pick, and they might actually pull something crazy like getting Caleb and Brock Bowers, or Caleb and one of the top offensive linemen, or Caleb and Kool Aid. Now, I think we don't have to worry about that so much, so that's great. It even helps our strength of schedule a little bit because we play the Cardinals twice. So that's a rare instance where I want the NFC to beat the AFC, and we got it. Dolphins Commanders, I mean, it finished off the Commanders, I guess, but that wasn't really worth all that much anymore. I'm not going to act like that's some kind of big season saving deal. especially with the way we're playing. But technically speaking, that's about the only thing that mattered in that game from a Seahawks perspective, anyway. Broncos Texans. This was actually a really good result for us for a couple different reasons, but all of them draft related. That third round pick from the Broncos is looking just a little bit better now, and this loss single handedly brought the Broncos playoff odds down to like the teens in terms of percentage. So they're probably not a playoff team at this point, which is great news for that third round pick. Also, Houston's first round pick they're sending to Arizona gets even worse, which is awesome. Great news. Love that Houston team. Love what they're doing this year. I mean, as much as I like the Seahawks young core, that is a young core to die for. And shout out to D'Amico Ryans for landing in that situation. It's got to be a hell of a feeling to know you're good for the next several years as long as you hit one more draft. Okay, so that was a nice result. Unfortunately, Tampa Bay stays alive as well by beating Carolina. The one upside is that we played Carolina this year, so there's a little bit of a strength of schedule. I'm sorry, one downside, not upside, excuse me. There's a little bit of a strength of schedule thing. And the fact that Tampa Bay is now just one game out of a wild card spot, so they're still kicking around. The upshot is Carolina remains in pole position for the number one pick, but now that Arizona is winning games, that doesn't really mean as much anymore. So honestly, this is just kind of bad all the way around. If Arizona is really going to win a couple games going down the line here, then Carolina sending the number one pick to Chicago doesn't have a ton of value. Then we get to the really bad one. This one kind of set up the stake, and then the Sunday night game knocked it in. Rams beat the Browns. The Browns tried. They were competitive. Flacco actually played a pretty decent game, but wasn't enough. And the Rams moved to 6-6. You look at their remaining schedule, they actually look like they're going to get in. And believe me, when this offseason starts, I am not going to stop harping on that. We let the rebuilding LA Rams, a rebuilding LA Rams team that made no real effort to get better in the offseason from the team that they had last year, that had no money to work with, is probably going to make the playoffs ahead of the Seahawks. If you think I'm done talking about that, if that happens, you've got another thing coming. And not that it really matters to us anymore, but the 49ers blew out the Eagles, which, I mean, we don't like it because it looks like the 49ers are just going to win it all this year, I guess, right? Like the 49ers actually look like they're going to just go and go and go at this rate. Like if their players don't get hurt, they're good. So we don't like that, but strictly speaking, it doesn't affect us in any way other than that we hate the 49ers, right? So whatever, I'm not even going to trip on that too much. And this was the game that killed us, I think. I think this game kind of ended whatever optimism we could realistically have. Chiefs losing to the Packers. The Packers are basically locked in on a 9-win season minimum now because of their schedule. And we just, we needed them to at least lose this game. So there was some wiggle room, but now there isn't. It would be so hard for them to not get to a 9-win state, which should be good enough for them. And then Monday night didn't really mean that much to us. The Bengals pulled off the big overtime upset, which was cool and fun to watch. But at the same time, I can't really find that much of an angle where it affects the Seahawks. I guess it knocks the Bengals back into the playoff race. But that's all I got. It hurts the Broncos a little bit and makes it harder for them to make the postseason. All right, that's the Rooting Guide post-mortem. It was not a good week, but there are some silver linings here. I tried to find them. I tried to find some things to celebrate, but pretty much all of them are draft related. Like our third-round picks are looking a little bit better. Arizona's dinking themselves in the draft. But in terms of this team this year, the 2023 Seahawks, it's pretty bad. And the only way we can stop it is if we actually start playing like a really good team and win one of these next two games. Like, we are not going to be able to limp our way to the playoffs this year, I don't think. We're not going to be able to just squeak by. We're going to have to actually grab it, seize it, throttle it, take it, however you want to put it. All right. Might be another video later today, but if not, Hawks Nest stream tonight at about 7, post-game for the Cowboys. I should be on Twitch tonight. We're going to finish Max Payne, the first one. Been replaying that, been a lot of fun. And yeah, I will see you guys later on. Go Hawks.